Welcome to episode 89 of your weekly Concealed Taco Dudes podcast.
Woohoo!
Yay.
Yeah!
That didn't even sound like you. You totally changed.
That was my
the
radio voice.
That was really
like
good.
the calm Jason.
Yeah.
Is there another one? I'm always calm.
Like Jason Suave.
I like that. I'll go with Jason Suave.
Yeah. All right, today we have me, Taco,
Me, Mark.
Jason, Concealment Solutions.
and
Now we have Officer Kevin.
all right,
Officer Kevin.
Kevin
That's what we're going with.
today.
Yep.
For now, right?
I was thinking Officer Bar Brady from, South Park.
Oh.
Anyway.
Anyway, we have a special episode prepared for you that to celebrate your Easter weekend, right?
Yeah.
It's a
We
celebration.
are actually recording this early
On Good Friday.
on
It
Good
is
Friday.
Good Friday.
And
Yep.
we're having a good podcast episode on Good Friday.
Yeah, I think you guys recorded the last one on Palm Sunday, didn't you?
We might have.
It might have been.
Wow.
Yeah.
We're just getting all kinds of Jesus in the podcast.
I went to Catholic school.
Oh,
Yep.
excellent. I did not know that.
All right.
Cool.
Well, let's go ahead and jump into sponsors.
Do it.
All right. We are here at the NOE studio, so thank you, NOE. And
And there is now a massive Concealed Taco
Oh,
Dudes
yes.
billboard on the side of the building.
we have new signage in front of the studio.
We have officially arrived
Yes.
as a podcast.
So, NOEBulletMolds.com, the finest bullet mold makers on the planet.
I was going to say in the universe, but if you want to scale it back, that's okay.
Okay, yeah.
Well, it's a really good thing to have, especially if you use the code FLT001. You can make as many bullets as you want because you can't buy them.
Yes.
That's
So,
true.
coupon code FLT001 will save you 10%. And it even works on, well, everything.
Dylan Presses?
Dylan Presses.
Wow.
Yeah. And that does stack with your $1,000 discount.
Wow.
So it's like 20% off.
wow.
That's a bunch.
It is.
How is he
It's
making any
significant.
money?
How many of those $1,000 discounts do you have?
Don't ask.
He's just
Don't
giving
ask.
he's paying you to take it now, right?
Yeah, it's yeah. No, like last time, remember I came in and I was the slave
Oh, yeah,
labor
you were the...
working for molds.
Right. We'll
Yeah.
work for molds.
Yeah. All right. And we also have Utah Air Guns.
Yes.
Use the coupon code AIRCANDY at utahairguns.com and it will save you.
They gave you free shipping.
It'll save you on shipping costs.
Right. And you get free turret stickers.
And
for your
free
scope.
turret stickers. And we'll talk about them a little bit more when we do with the,
Because
what
that's-
you did with guns.
Because-
That's really the name of the podcast. It's the Utah Air Guns
Utah Air
Podcast.
Guns podcast.
What you did with air guns.
All right.
And then black ice coatings. So I still need to go down there and talk to Lee and get my Beretta 51, that old gun,
Oh, yeah.
Teflon coated. And then I also got to get that one gun pig printed. And
Yes.
yes, I got to get one done in pig
In
printing.
pig.
And for those of you who do not know what kind of service Black Ice Coatings does, they do Teflon coating, all kinds of gun coatings. So Teflon coating, Cerakoting,
Hydro
hydrodipping,
And not just for guns. They do anything.
yeah, softball helmets.
Yeah.
And
ATV fenders.
Car
They've
parts.
done all kinds of
Yeah.
weird stuff.
They do some cool stuff. Good work, too.
But they are really artistic. That's what's amazing is,
Yeah.
some of that stuff is like display, go to gun show.
Oh, for
Yeah.
sure.
Well, the other thing too is a lot of people think of Teflon as like the stuff that's like kind of peeling off your pan.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not that.
That's different.
It's not.
This stuff is thicker. And he can control the thickness of the coating.
Right.
Is pretty awesome.
And it sticks because he treats the surface beforehand. It's really amazing.
Yeah. So blackicecoatings.com.
Yep. Awesome.
Slickery.
Yeah.
Slickery.
Tell them slickery. Just do it. See what happens. All right. Let's jump into what we did with guns.
You first, Jason.
We're moving today.
Good. Let's keep it
We're
moving.
making progress. I finally shot the Polymer 80.
Oh, you did?
Great.
Yeah. It's a stinker.
Your ghost gun.
Wait,
Oh,
what?
it does not want to feed on a full mag. The first shot, it won't feed like the first 3 shots. and then after that it would be okay.
Huh.
It's
What barrel did you use?
I can't remember if it was a Lone Wolf barrel or if it was one I got from Davidson's. I think it was from Davidson's.
You should borrow my factory Glock 19
Well,
barrel.
here's the other thing. I didn't lube it at all. I finished building it like 4 months ago, and I finally was able to get to the range and shoot it, and it was just running really rough. So I need to break it down and do some fluff and buff on it before I.
Or oil.
Yeah.
You don't
Well,
need to
that
fluff
too.
and buff
That-
before
I need
you
to
oil
I
it.
need to do all of that.
And then shoot
So-
a lot of plus P through it and wear it in real quick.
Yeah, well, and I did shoot some defensive stuff, and it ran like the other stuff. What did run really good through it, though, were my 9mm reload. Didn't have a single issue with those.
Even with the first 3 rounds or
Uh-huh.
whatever in the magazine.
Uh-huh.
So it was the factory ammo.
Mm-hmm.
Can you say what brand of ammo it was?
It was, it's a French Cellier and Bellow.
Oh, S&B? Yeah.
S&B.
They make good stuff.
Yeah, I don't feel like it's an ammo issue.
It's a Jason issue.
Yes.
Okay.
It's a ghost gun issue.
Yeah.
So that was a little disappointing, but whatever.
And then the magazine was just was it
It's a
a
Glock
Magpul
magazine.
or Glock?
Yeah, it's a Glock magazine.
It wasn't the Korean knockoff Glock magazine?
No, I don't buy those.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say don't buy those. Those suck.
Actually, Glock is the only brand that I've ever detracted from the factory brand magazines when I buy extras, and it's only been the Magpul, and it's only been a couple of those.
Those are really good.
They are. I haven't had any issues with
Dimensionally, they're very consistent because they're molded basically, and the metal forming is a little bit less precise.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I have had good luck with the Glock brand, of course.
Yeah.
The Magpul.
Yeah.
And then the other one, the cheap ones that
The clear
are
one?
translucent.
Yeah,
See,
those
I
are
need
cool.
some.
The ETS magazines. I've
Yeah.
had really good luck with those. I've only bought the, was it 30 or 31 or 33 round?
Yeah.
The big ones, the
Yeah.
Happy Sticks. I've had really good luck with those in my, I shoot them in my Glock 19, the Glock 34, and then my two 9mm AR-15s.
Do you
See-
carry any of those?
No, I carry, so those are my toy mags, like range mag,
Right.
not toy mags. Those are my
You
range
don't, you
mags.
don't carry a 33 round mag in your gun?
No, the
Go
Glock.
inside the waist?
The factory Glock 33
In your mag
rounder.
holder, try that.
Yeah.
It's been done.
No, it's
I need to get some of those big mags for my AR-45.
you do.
Yeah.
Now, I will say I do need to do some more testing, but I was not impressed with the ETS 45 or 10 millimeter extended mags.
That
I-
may be the next
I
build is a 10 millimeter upper to go on that.
Yeah, and I
They
think
are
that
lower.
the issue with those is that it's a wider cartridge, and so you got more force going up with, I don't know, it's
It's putting too much pressure on the
too
feed
much
lips.
pressure on
On
the
the
feed
feed
lips.
lips?
Yeah, and it's so
Speaking of that, I was going to suggest, Jason, why don't you take a Glock 40 mag and try it in your 9 and see see if it takes care of your first round problems.
I never thought of that.
It's worth checking. It'll give you something to
Yeah.
tweak later if you do.
either that or try a different barrel. I've had some
Well,
Lone Wolf barrels
it
that
needs
had
to
tight
be-
chambers.
It needs to be cleaned and lubed thoroughly before I do anything with it because it was running rough.
Okay.
And it was, yeah. I'm pretty sure I know what's wrong.
Yeah, so you used was it Gen 1 or Gen 2, whatever, Polymer 80 kit?
Well, it's equivalent to a Gen 3 Glock.
Yeah.
So whatever generation that is.
But they also have
Polymer 80.
different
Yeah.
generations of like Polymer 80. Like
I think it is the Gen 2.
okay, so I built a Strike 80, so the Strike Industries Polymer 80.
Yeah. Which
And,
I've never seen it. You have never brought it.
I showed it on the camera before when we were doing a
Well,
Zoom
that
one.
doesn't count.
And I've shot mine, and it works great. So
Yeah.
I guess
Would
we
you
know
ever-
who
would you ever
does
carry
better
that?
drilling than and grinding away on a receiver than
No, my milling was good. It was the freaking drill bit that broke that pissed me off, that buggered it up. part of it.
Blame it on the tool.
I'm not blaming it on the tool. I'm just saying that happened and it didn't make me happy.
So would you guys ever carry?
No.
You wouldn't?
No, I would never carry a
Self-defense, a gun that you
the
manufactured?
ghost gun.
Yeah.
No.
Why?
Apocalypse, sure, but not like for self-defense.
If you
But
built,
why?
I want everything going in my favor legally to help me out.
Okay.
So I'm not
But
going to
there's
use.
nothing
I'm not going to
illegal.
use my own reloads. I'm not going to use like a fully modded thing. I have a Glock factory trigger in my Glock 19, and it's plain Jane night sights. And it had the only thing I've changed. It has the extended mag release.
it
And
allows
then I
you
have
to
my other
reload and kill more people quickly.
Yeah,
So, but
Yeah.
but I have 3 Glock 19s now. I have the one I keep factory stock, and that's the one I carry. And then I have the one that has been my tinkering one, where I'll try out different barrels and I shoot that suppressed. And then now I have this Strike 80 quote unquote ghost gun that is also fun to shoot and play with. But yeah, so I wouldn't do it. That's my opinion for me, but
Sure.
not legal advice.
Makes sense.
But would you?
I don't know that I would worry about it as much as you do, but
We're a little bit older than you are, so we've got less to lose.
Less time in jail?
Yeah.
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 But yeah, I mean, I don't know. We're in Utah, so things are very conservative here. But
Right.
if you're in a different state,
If I was in a different state,
Then
if I was
definitely
if
would
I was
be.
any closer to either of the coasts, then it would change dramatically.
yeah. I mean, if you were, well, I don't even know. Can you have those in California?
Probably not.
I don't know.
I don't know. Anyways. Anyways,
That's all I did. I have been working. I don't take lunches and I stay late and I arrive early, and that has been my last 2 weeks.
So this is an example, Kevin, how things get off the rails in discussions. So
There was nothing. We were on rails. The rails just changed.
it's just a windy path.
Well, that's one of the sad things is getting to law enforcement. I've lost the ability to play with my firearms the same way. We cannot modify them.
No.
They have to go into an armor. They have to be approved
Right.
by a firearms instructor at the department. We can't.
you can't even, when you're off duty, carry anything that you can't qualify with, right?
I have to have qualified with it, registered the serial number with the department, and then
Even off duty.
Yep, off duty.
Oh, jeez.
And anything I've done, anything we do to modify any additional lights or holsters, I have to have approved before I can.
What about say maybe not recreational guns, but say you're like shooting.
What if you shoot
You're out at the
competition?
range and you have like
What if-
your
what if you
AR-15.
What if you
that's
shoot
personal
three gun
or
and you've got
Well,
So
souped up?
I can do that all day long. I just can't carry anything self-defense
Right.
that I haven't qualified
That's
with.
so you
Sounds
can't
like
respond to anything if say you have all those guns that are like awesome and they're in your car and you don't have your other, or do you just always have
You should always have
the one that
Right.
you're qualified with?
Well, I typically always have the one that I'm qualified with, and it brings that whole scary conversation of the qualified immunity. If I'm operating outside of department standards and regulations, then I really put myself in danger
Yeah.
of, and it's sad, which I'll tell you all right now, that if it came down to it and all I had was my shotgun and I was out bird hunting and that's what I need, I would,
Sure.
but it wouldn't be ideal for me,
Yeah.
Because it could potentially complicate stuff.
yes.
So what have you done with guns
Well,
the last week or so?
Yeah, so I was able to go qualify with my FN, my rifle, and then my duty weapon, and then I was actually able to shoot my Glock 43X for the first time, the one that I
Cool.
bought from Mark with
Nice.
my new light, tack light, and from my new holster, because we have to draw it from our concealed carry holster and positions.
Okay, so quick question. There's like a qualification test or something. You have to prove that you can shoot that firearm and whatever accurately, and so you have to do that with every gun that you want to carry.
Correct. Yep.
Okay, so the Glock 43, you had to qualify with that. And you mentioned an FN. Is that a rifle? Like a
Yeah, the FN-15 is my duty rifle.
Okay, so it's like an AR-15.
Mhm.
And then what else are you qualified with? Do you have like a larger Glock, like a full size?
Yeah, we have the Glock 17s and the Glock 19s. Just depends on what you're issued by the department. But we have our full frames.
And then do your guns have to be like on an approved list? Like, or can you take any gun and qualify with it?
So it has to be on an approved list, but the approved list it's pretty fair. You know, I'm not going to be able to go in with I don't hurt anyone's feelings, but I'm not going to be able to go in with like a high point or anything like that. those are not on the list.
Did you tell them about high points?
No.
I was going to say that you guys need to lobby for the yeet cannon on your list.
Oh man.
I just feel like every time we have a teenager or somebody that's shooting anymore, it's always seems to be a high point. But you know, not picking on them because I hear they do fire, and if it doesn't fire, you can use it as a baseball bat.
If it's ever a gold and pink one with skull grips, we know where it belongs.
After this recording, then we'll have to show you a little video or something. But yeah, to give you some background, the first gun I ever had, it was given to me by my father-in-law. He went down to it was equivalent to like an Ace hardware store or whatever, and they had the gun counter guns, and he saw these cheap guns, and he's like, oh, I'm just going to buy one for each of my son-in-law so we can just go plink around on the farm. And so he got that, and that's actually what got me into guns.
Well, a high point
So-
is good for something.
That was
the one good thing.
Yeah.
that was a highly infectious vector
Yes.
into this lifestyle.
It
But
was.
what all the listeners want to know: how many high points have you bought on your own power since then? He's doing the math.
He's
in his
counting.
head.
No, I think it's only 2. So when so in the video, okay. So I did a video where I took that high point from my father-in-law because I ever since getting into guns, and I haven't really shot it because it's like it's a high point.
Right.
But I took it and I got it modified. So my high point had an extended barrel, so I shipped off the barrel to get it threaded so I could
A
have
suppressed
a
high
suppressed high point. And a unique fact about high points, if you want to suppress them, is that they're fixed barrel design, so you don't have to have a booster. So you can just have the thread adapter.
point. Really?
Yeah. So, anyways.
And it'll actually make them lighter than they already are.
But yeah, and I got the slide machine and put a red dot and
custom
and
Cerakote.
then, custom Cerakote job and new grips, and then I came to Jason to get a holster.
A leg holster?
Hot pink and skull drop
Yeah,
leg holster.
it's golden
That was
hot
one of the
pink.
first drop legs I ever did.
Yes, it was. So, anyways, that's the
So I
background.
wonder if our listeners would let us know how many of you out there have purchased more than 3 high points.
Yeah.
No
Well,
one's gonna respond to that.
okay, so one of the high points is a carbine. It's the 10 millimeter.
Okay, that's
which
And
which that one's okay.
Yeah.
That
it's-
one's okay.
It totally works.
And especially, have you put it in that frame?
Yes.
Oh.
It looks
I
like a
don't think-
space gun now.
Yeah, I don't think we've seen it since it's been.
Yeah. And
Got its face.
when I was doing the modding project on the one, I was at Gunny's, and they had just gotten a police auction of guns, and so
They had a high point?
of course they had a high point. So I have like
Probably
a
had the evidence tag still on it.
it had like an evidence sticker on it, a case number or something, and so that was part of the joke of like modifying my high point.
Were there still blood stains on it?
I don't think there's any blood on that side of it, but Anyways, yeah, so I bought a high point for they gave it to me for like $60 or something.
Because
I needed spare parts.
They probably included it. Oh, you bought 4 guns. It comes with a high point. Here you go.
That's great.
So it was cheaper and faster just to buy another high point for $60 to get the spare parts.
Than to buy any spare parts.
Well, and then afterwards, then I called up High Point. I was like, hey, I need this extractor. I need this.
And they did that as a
And they
warranty
just-
repair problem.
Well, they just sent it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So now I have
That's great.
2 High Point handguns.
High Point does have excellent customer service.
They do.
They really do. And there's a lot to be said there.
Yeah.
We actually make a mag holder for your High Point magazine.
What
Really?
else uses that size?
A lot of them do. It's a
Is it
custom.
like a 1911?
No, it's
pretty close. The 45 High Point actually is about the same diameter as a 1911 mag, and it might take 1911 mags. I'm not sure.
I'll have to check that. But
So.
but it's got that funny little scallop thing on the one side on the C9.
Yeah, the C9. That's what
Yeah.
I got. 2
Yeah.
C9s.
All right. so much for making progress and moving quick through the show today.
So what else did you do with guns, Kevin?
Other than qualify, I just cleaned them. That's about it.
Cleaned them.
Mm-hmm.
Do you give lessons to Jason?
Taco's the one who doesn't clean his stuff until he has malfunction.
Yeah,
Sure.
but at least mine function. Yeah,
Okay, fair enough.
unlike Jason's.
Hey, it's only that one. Mark, what did you do?
I
Not to
did.
change the subject.
I
or
did a
anything.
few things. I have been on the phone with Kimber a lot over the past couple of months.
Does Mag Holder Mama know you're talking to? Oh, you mean the gun company?
The gun company.
Okay.
Yeah, not the other Kimber. No.
Oh, okay.
My daughter had a friend who was named that in high school, I think. But anyway, basically, we pestered the daylights out of them until they. And I don't think it was me that was pushing them over
Oh,
the edge.
come on, take credit.
But they now offer a full-length combat grip for their K6 double-action, single-action revolver.
Ah,
So I'm very,
Nice.
very happy to announce that. And,
all thanks to Mark.
well, not all thanks, but the customer service actually did call me to let me know it was available.
Oh,
So
well,
happy
that's
days.
good. When
I also
will you have yours?
probably Tuesday.
All right.
But then today I picked up a gun for work, which is the new Smith & Wesson Shield with the 15-round flush mags. So it looks like,
Is it a 15 or a 13?
I think it's 15.
Oh, okay. For some reason, I had 13 in my head.
Well, you can get 12, I think, with their extended mags.
Yeah.
But so it looks like it's going to fit in the same holster that I had before, but it will,
The gun?
the gun.
The gun will fit yeah, I've already checked that.
Cool.
The Shield Plus, right? Is that
Yeah,
what it's
something
called?
like that.
Yeah,
Right.
it'll fit the same holsters as the Shield 2.0 and the regular Shield. They'll
So-
all fit the same holster.
We are going to be doing testing to figure out what we do about a mag holder for
Yeah,
it.
because the magazine's very different.
Very different.
And the grip is a little bit bigger.
Yep.
But
It feels pretty good.
Yeah.
You know, ever since, I mean, the 365 was a big deal,
yeah.
and that probably kicked version 2.0 of the carry pistol
Mm-hmm.
into high gear with the G43 to follow, the SCCY, all these fairly high capacity
Yeah.
small double stacks.
There's the
Yeah.
Springfield Hellcat, and now
Yep.
Ruger has their own version out. That's very
Yes.
similar,
Correct. So
but not as good.
Ruger is awesome.
I love
But-
Rugers.
I'm just waiting for Ruger to come out with their Marlin
Yep.
lever guns.
But
And a
They're overdue.
And a 5.7 carbine.
yeah,
Yeah, they could probably. I mean, it'll be ugly, just like the the PC9 or whatever it's called. They're
Oh, yeah, that's an ugly.
They all
their
look like-
9mm carbine.
yeah.
Looks like a 1022.
Oh, yeah.
They all look like 1022s.
right.
Hey, if it's not broke, don't fix it.
Right.
Yeah, or you can fix it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we'll figure out what to do about the mag holders for that soon. It doesn't look like it's going to be a big problem. So,
So something's already close, probably.
yep.
Cool.
And today, walked into the podcast and was delivered an amazing Cobra. What do you call it now?
Yeah, it's a Cobra.
A Cobra holster for my Python.
It does look nice. Both
It
the
does.
combination, the holster looks good, and the gun
Yep.
looks good. And
In the black carbon fiber.
yeah,
It's
and that,
really-
that.
It's
col-
going to be a barbecue gun for sure.
Yeah. I like the color of. Is it stainless or is it like a nickel something? It's
It
like a
is
darker
stainless.
type of stainless.
Yeah, I think it's just dirty.
Is it just dirty stainless?
I wiped
I
it
think it
down
looks-
and oiled it before I put it back in the case.
It does look like it has.
Jason was test firing it.
Yeah.
He's like, I love this gun.
It's
It doesn't
a revolver.
really-
You know me better than that.
It doesn't really have a patina or anything, but it doesn't look like polished.
It's not that
stainless.
different.
bright
Yeah.
stainless. It's like a
Right.
darker stainless. I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
It's
I am
ominous.
just, kind of, yeah. I am kind of just over the moon basically for all this cool stuff I get to go and play with this week.
Cool.
Nice. Let me know when you're gonna go shooting. I might take a day off or something.
Cool.
Yeah, because you didn't get to go on
I
the
know.
7-hour shooting day.
I know.
And I had the suppressed 44 mag 400 grain loads that we were playing with.
Wow.
Yeah.
Out of the carbine, right?
Yeah, that was fun. Noah really liked it, but I had to tell him to not shoot the dueling tree with it.
Because you
You
keep
knock it
bending,
over?
bending things.
It would slap it so hard to the other side that the shock of it hitting that side flipped the other paddles over to the other side.
Wow.
And so
So it kind of defeated the purpose.
yeah, he shot
of
it.
the
He
dueling
shot it
tree.
twice, and I was like, maybe you shouldn't aim at that.
So you should keep the dueling tree below 1,200 foot-pounds or so, right?
I don't know, but I did. Well, I'll let you finish, and then I'll.
No, I'm done.
Okay, so I got some. I did a group buy from Buckeye Targets,
Yeah.
and got a bunch of steel targets for my buddies, and I switched over to the little hooks and stuff.
Oh, got it.
Because I used to just bolt the chain
yeah.
into the 2x4s.
Right.
But I mean,
It's
Travis, he told me that I should have ordered the kits with the hooks, but I ordered them without because I was stubborn, and I ended up doing what he said I should do in the first place.
That's
So
usually
kudos,
how it
Travis.
happens.
Yeah, but he also sent me new feet for my Buckeye Targets dueling tree,
Oh.
and or legs or whatever you call it, and they have an adjustable front leg or feet, so you can
Oh.
raise it up a little bit,
So
which
if you're on uneven ground, which is usually the case.
yes,
And that will
Nice.
change the amount of energy required to flip it from one side
yeah,
to the other
but
too, right?
usually the place I go shooting, it is sloped slightly up, and so having that little bit of extra,
Keeps it so it's not so front end heavy.
yeah, it raises the front up a little bit so it doesn't just tip over when Noah hits it with a 400 grain 44
Right.
mag.
Or you
Gives
shoot
out.
it with your 500 or
Yeah, so we
4570.
we did like a lot of cool stuff.
You're really hard on targets, aren't you?
I am, but they last a long time.
Good.
The chains and bolts don't always last.
And the 2x4.
The 2x4s, yeah. Well, one time we hit and this was at 500 yards, we hit a big 2-foot plate with a 50 BMG.
I was
you
there.
were there. And the force of just so much energy hitting the steel plate snapped the 2x4 in half.
Yeah.
Wow.
It hit the steel and
It
the
hit
2x4
the steel, but the 2x4 just collapsed.
I don't even remember what the muzzle energy is with those things, but even it,
Yeah, I mean, if you
it's
think
still
about
got to be like 31,000
And didn't-
foot-pounds or something.
Didn't it put a little bit of a tweak in the?
yeah, I bet
Because
my
we-
steel plates.
Wow.
It would hit on the edge of it, I think, is why it.
Well, it hit.
Because the shots that hit in the middle, I don't think did anything.
It bent
to
it a little bit.
Oh, did it?
Not like a lot, but yeah, there's just so much energy with the 50 BMG. It's insane. But
Wow.
I can see now why you could use that as an anti-vehicle like
Oh yeah.
cartridge.
It'll
You
tear
shoot
up
like
an engine block.
like,
Do you think they'd let you qualify with one of those?
I sure like to try.
the problem you have with that is over penetration.
Yeah.
So you shoot the
Exactly.
bad guy, he'll blow up, and then it'll hit the next 3 people, 4 people, 5 people behind him.
Well, our quals max out at 25 yards, so yeah, it would, be,
20.
it would be bad.
Yeah. So I did get 2 videos done this week. I did the Noah's new gun, his AR-15 that we built together this year.
Cool.
And I can't remember if I talked about it last episode, but we have a Nikon scope that has the BDC reticle.
Oh yeah, you did.
And
talk
then it
about
also has like the kind of custom turret, but it's
Right.
it's set for the 55 grain bullet. And so we set up a couple different targets, and we zeroed it at 100 yards, and then he was able to dial on the turret to 280 and then hit the 280 yard target. So he was
Great.
going back and forth between 100 and
Yeah.
280.
Nice.
And so we're excited to take that out again and have like 100, 200, 300, 400, 500 and see how well
That's
he
neat.
can transition between the different things. But he thought that was the coolest, instead of trying to count dots
Yeah.
on the reticle,
Right.
just to
Just
dial
dialing it.
and it's way faster.
Yeah.
So that was really cool. So
I see you've been to Utah Air Guns.
I did go to Utah Air Guns, and now I will admit up front, I am +7.
Full disclosure.
Full disclosure, net 7 new guns because I wasn't supposed to get one so early.
As early as you did?
Yes. So I have 2 new guns. One is an air gun, one is a handgun. And we'll look at the handgun first. But this is a Browning high power.
Very
and
nice.
it's got the little aftermarket grips that Carl put on it.
Yeah.
So I ended up getting this from Carl.
That
From one
really-
episode where you brought it up, we found out that he was looking to sell it. And I was looking to buy
You
it.
had what he wanted?
Yeah.
That is a really nice looking one too.
It is.
Yeah, it feels good, and I don't know if Carl has shot it yet. I think he might have.
He's shot it.
But-
I know he's shot it, but
But it's really clean, looks good.
and it's different. It's reminiscent of the 1911, but at the same time,
But-
it almost has a reminiscent feel or nostalgic feel like a single action revolver, which doesn't make sense because it doesn't feel like that in your hand. But I don't know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
It just
No,
has
it-
kind of a classic,
Yep.
nostalgic.
It is all
Feel to
it's
it.
all metal. There's
Yeah.
no polymer on it,
Yeah.
and so it
But
has that heft.
but there's
and-
lots of guns out there that are like that, CZs and SIGs and other stuff, but they don't feel like that does.
Well, the CZs do feel good. I mean,
Yeah. I'm not.
you're talking about classic, like
I'm not talking about how it
1911
physically feels. I'm talking about
Emotionally.
how it feels in your
Oh.
heart.
Yeah.
in your heart. Okay.
Well,
Yeah.
I love it. I
It's-
like the fact that it has an incredible story behind it.
Yeah.
It was manufactured by both the Allies and the Axis powers for use in World War II.
Yeah.
So there were people with Browning high power shooting at each other.
That is
Yeah.
the gun that Browning was developing when he died.
Yes,
And
then
his son finished.
well, his son and maybe his son
it was
and
his
another
son.
engineer,
It was his son and the guys at
some guy
FN.
from FN. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it is an incredible story, and that one is really a nice example.
Yeah.
So now that Browning is no longer making it, they're becoming quite the collector's piece.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this one is kind of cool too because it came from a friend. You know, it's Carl's old gun,
Yeah.
so it's just kind of cool. It'll be one like that never gets sold.
Yeah.
Aesthetically,
I
it's really
believe Carl
nice.
said that too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Carl kind
Aesthetically-
of goes through guns like you.
Yeah.
But and the one thing I noticed about this gun, so it was kind of weird, is that I noticed on the bottom of the magazine it has a spring, and that's
yeah.
what gives it that very positive ejection.
It launches it.
Yeah,
It
it
does.
launches it. The spring launches it
Which
away from the gun. when
Is
you
a
hit the magazine edges.
fantastic idea, and why aren't more people doing that? Why is that not a feature on every competition gun out there?
I don't know.
For
Good
real.
question.
Why-
I
Maybe
like-
because
Why aren't all the 2011s out there from STI or now Staccato? Why isn't that a feature on them? Think about how fast that would. I don't know.
okay, here's an interesting thing. I won't say too many details, but one of my friends, the guy who did some machine work on the High Point,
Must be a good friend.
may be working at that company now.
High Point?
No.
At what company?
STI.
Oh, at STI?
Yes.
Oh.
Maybe. So,
Okay. Well,
not to bring down.
It's not STI anymore. It's
Does
now
he know
Staccato.
that do they know that he worked for High Point?
that he worked on a High
That-
Point?
I'm
No.
sure that was in his resume.
I kept it all anonymous.
Okay, good.
In my video, but it's kind of an interesting thing. He's an amazing machinist.
Sure.
He just sent me that one suppressor. Did I show it to you guys?
I don't think
It's a
so.
6.5 suppressor, full titanium welded. And it is awesome.
Huh.
But it's like in jail right now, so I can't.
Oh.
I haven't shot it yet.
No conjugal visits even.
I can because I'm technically an employee at that pawn shop.
Oh,
So,
okay.
yes.
You're an employee a lot of places.
Yeah, kind of, huh?
Yeah.
So-
You didn't tell us about your air rifle.
Okay, so the air gun. This is probably going to sound like a super lame reason, but I've done this before.
There are
with,
no lame reasons for
I'm-
buying guns.
I've done this before with real guns, where I actually had a custom 6 Well, first I bought the 243 because I bought some bullets cheap
Yeah.
and I needed a gun to shoot them with.
Well, that's why I built my AR-45. I found a whole tub of 45 ACP rounds. I was like, what am I going to do with these?
Might
I
as
don't
well
even have a
buy a gun
45.
to shoot them with, right?
Yeah.
So I had
1911.
I had like a half-used tin of the 177 pellets,
Uh-huh.
and so I figured I needed a gun to shoot those with. Even though I had the crappy gun, the break barrel one,
Oh, yeah.
but I didn't want to shoot it with
Yeah,
that.
why do you want to shoot that?
So I went to Utah Air Guns and I was hanging out with talking to Travis and
Uh-huh.
and I asked him about if they had any lower end 177
Uh-huh.
caliber guns, but not like junk.
Sure.
I wanted something that was good. And so he found this Hudson Flash, which
Okay. That is a good-looking rifle.
the stock
It is
it has a wood
fantastic.
stock.
And it's got a thumb hole, and yeah.
It's a cool gun, cool stock.
And how much was that?
I think it was about $400.
Okay.
So it's not cheap, but it's not expensive.
Right.
It's cheaper than a lot of the other guns.
Yeah.
It's
but
8 times cheaper than the last one you bought.
it looks
Not 8.
it,
but
it looks like a ton of value for what you paid for it.
yeah, and I'm going to put a different scope on it. I just threw a cheap Chinese scope on it
Yeah.
for now, but I just want something to play with it. And it comes with magazines or a single shot tray. And so
How many rounds in the magazine?
I don't know. I can't remember.
And it looks just like a bolt action rifle.
Yes, it's a bolt action,
Mm-hmm.
and it has the integrated moderator or suppressor.
Yeah.
And so it's pretty quiet, but Travis got me one of those adapters to throw in the end cap
To make it even quieter?
so I could throw my little, what is it, the Sumo or suppressor on?
Yeah.
Moderator.
It's a moderator.
Moderator.
Be careful.
yes. So I got
Yeah,
that, and
that's
it is
a good
really
looking
quiet.
gun.
So now I can finally shoot that half a tin of pellets. But
And then you
In your
sell it.
backyard.
well, I bought 5 tins.
Oh.
But then as I was picking those up, then I realized they knew that it's 5 times 500 because the small tins hold 500 of the 177s.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
That's
so-
right.
Anyways.
Cool.
Yeah. Well, I did other stuff, but we're running out of time and we
Yeah.
gotta have time for the topic.
We got
so.
lots of topic to cover.
So let's have our guest introduce himself.
Okay.
So I'm newer to law enforcement, coming up on my 1 year mark.
What kind of law enforcement are you?
So I'm a patrol officer right now. You typically always going to start out as patrol if you have we call it the LEO certification, your law enforcement officer certification.
Did you have to put your time in as like the animal control
No, that's
or parking?
that's a myth.
It's a myth. So you don't start out as parking and then go to animal control and then.
No, I applied. I was sponsored and went right through academy and come out, and we go through all officers go through an FTO. You're put out with a field training officer and for a while, and then you get to go out on your own, which is an interesting day.
I
you
bet.
know.
Yeah,
Is it
that's
kinda
gotta be
like
crazy.
Your first
like-
flight as your first solo as a pilot, right?
You know, it was as menacing as driving home with my first kid. You know, when you're leaving the
Wow.
hospital parking lot, and you're not sure.
That is freaky.
Yeah, like, hey, good luck. Call us if you need anything.
That was
you
too
know,
long ago. I don't even remember.
Yeah, it's freaky. You're like, what? Wait, what? What? What do I do? Like, you trust me with this? Yeah, it's kind of crazy with your first kid.
yeah. So I'm a little older, a little late to the game apparently for law enforcement. A lot of my coworkers are quite young, early mid-20s. Very good people. I'm a father and I have children, and it's just something I always wanted to do. So
Cool.
here I am at it.
Well, good on you for getting after it and doing what you wanted to do.
Well, that's really is kind of interesting. I mean, you've had a fairly long and successful career in an entirely different industry. What was the mentally? Are you happy now that you're a year in? Are you glad you did it?
Yeah, I'm definitely glad I did it. It's hard to say that it's just different than what I expected because you don't really know what to expect because it's so close-lipped and guarded, either before you get in. But I am really happy I've done it, been able to really meet some amazing people and be in some amazing situations. I mean, some sad ones, but some, I am very happy that I did it. I'm kind of a dreamer. I'd say I'm still even older like this. I still believe that, that that I have the ability to make a difference, you know, and whether you're a police officer or not, I believe that everybody has the ability to make a positive difference in their community. I just, you know, felt like I had a little more to offer. So, but I am very happy with it.
Well, what's interesting to me is while you were in training, you kind of ended up a mentor even to the people around you. Like if you showed up in basic training and you're one of the people that ends up to be a kind of a leader. So how does that work when the people that have the same level of experience now entered at the same time some of them are almost half your age?
Yeah, it's interesting because when I started Academy, there was a lot of kids in there that I say kids, I mean there's a lot of men in there that just
They're just half my age.
I gotta be careful. Gotta be nice, you know. But a lot of them were just in the military, and they took very, very specialized and, you know, training in the military, you know, and highly specific, and it just doesn't necessarily translate to a lot of other career fields, and so they went into law enforcement. But the military will take you. You know, some of these young men were right out of high school, straight into the military, and then straight out of the military into law enforcement. They're starting this career in law enforcement, and a lot of them just barely getting married. They're starting to have children, and where I've been married for a minute, and have a few kids. You know, just questions: how do you balance it? How does your family feel about that? And you know. They tried to make me the class president the first half, and I turned it down because I hadn't been in school in over 20 years. I didn't know if I could do it. And then the second half, it was set up in such a way to where I was instructed that if I was nominated and voted for, I was going to take it regardless. And so I ended up the leader of the second half of the class, and it was actually a real neat experience. It helped grow me quite a bit, you know.
Well, let's jump in what we wanted to do with Larry.
Kevin, Kyle,
Barbara.
We've got a few self-defense stories in the news or similar scenarios that we want to talk about when we have an expert.
Well, and what's cool is having been through all of this training recently, you know, we're probably going to get some different answer than if we had somebody that spent 30 years on the force.
For
and,
sure.
You know, it's just different level of involvement in the study. So.
Yeah. Okay, which one do we want to start with? I got a few here.
Okay, Jason, you go first with one.
Okay, this one, a Vietnam veteran is especially thankful for his rescue dog after she alarmed him about an intruder in his home in Temple City, a suburb of Los Angeles. So James Harden, age 69, said his 3-year-old dog, a Maltese named Angel, okay, worthless dog.
Hey,
well,
not entirely worthless.
Except in this situation, alerted him when she changed from her usual calm demeanor and woke him up on Monday at about 5 a.m. by jumping on his chest and running to the kitchen. Within about 30 seconds, she'd come back, jumped on the bed, put her paws on my chest, and started tapping and growling. Okay. She said...
That's a good dog right there.
That is.
No matter if it's a worthless breed.
Okay. She was probably peeing herself while she was doing it, but anyway.
They kept that out of the story.
He said that he realized she was growling at an intruder who was standing at the doorway of his bedroom.
Oh,
Wow.
geez. He'd already made it to the doorway.
That is
Yeah.
everybody's worst nightmare.
Harden's wife was still sleeping in the bed next to him when the intruder walked into the bedroom. Harden says that he rushed to get his gun. Harden says he pushed the door open, which, I don't know, the guy was already in the bedroom, it sounded like.
Doorway.
Harden says he pushed the door open, pointed his gun at the man, and said, "Don't move, I will blow you away." He says that the intruder told him, "I'm your son's friend." But Harden kept him at gunpoint until police arrived. They arrested the 32-year-old on suspicion of burglary. "We think you might have been in there to do bad things."
Suspicion of burglary.
Yeah. Harden said that his time serving in the U.S. Army Special Forces kept him from pulling the trigger.
Cool.
So
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
So there's a couple key things to learn from this story, that being one. The only thing that stopped me from pulling the trigger was the fact that I said, that could be somebody's daddy, and I don't want to leave a child homeless, he explained. Harden credits his dog for helping him thwart the intruder's plans. "I protect her, and she protects me. She took care of the ones who loved her. She's got a special place in my heart, and she's done a great job. I was very proud of her." So, kind of like when we've talked about home defense and stuff like that. That's always on my list. A dog.
It is.
Even a worthless Maltese, which is going to spend more time peeing itself when it gets excited than anything else. That dog did exactly what it needed to, other than scaring the guy off to begin with.
Yeah.
It didn't do that. Right?
Well, and I would say Henry, a dog like Henry.
I'm not sure he would. Well, I have tested him,
yes.
and he is intimidating when he wants to be, but he's a total lover.
Yeah.
But yeah,
He's got a little bit deeper bark than.
He has a very intimidating growl and bark when he uses it, and that is rare.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, the guy had self-control with the training that he'd had previously. The dog,
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty good story.
Well,
it worked out good for everybody.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's always nice when no one has to die.
Yeah.
So that's good. But
Did this turn out to be the son's friend then, or was that just what he yelled out?
No. And that reminded me, I was visiting a neighbor who is in her 80s the other day, lives at home alone, and this story reminded me, she gets calls fairly regularly. She answers the phone, "Hello, Grandma, I need help."
Oh,
Who is
no.
this? This is your grandson. You don't recognize my voice? I'm in jail and I need bail money. And she hasn't bid on it. She's like, "I've got 17 grandsons. If you can't tell me which one you are, I'm hanging up." But she has had friends who have fallen into that and sent money. That, I'm your son's friend. These guys are thinking when they go into these situations.
yeah.
So it might not be tactical gunplay. It might be a story. It might be other stuff that you need to think in order to untangle.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing I was thinking about is, we read that one article a while back, and we talked because someone shot someone that was related to them. I think it was his daughter or something.
Yeah.
And so the importance of identify who it is that you are about to pull the trigger on.
Right.
Make sure that you want to pull the trigger on that person.
Right.
And, man,
Don't be shooting into the dark.
Yeah.
Well, I'd say from a tactical standpoint, I mean, I had my custom holster made, which I love, by the way, because I wanted to put a light on my personal carry gun.
Right.
But what I gleaned from this story is this gentleman obviously, if the intruder was standing in his doorway and he was flat in bed, he was able to get up and come on ready that quick. So he was very comfortable with his firearm.
Knew where it was.
Stored and how to access it quickly. I'm willing to bet he was practiced with it. And it blows my mind how many people I run into as an officer. I can still carry. Is that okay? Like, yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
And then when they calm down and start talking, tell me, I got to get out and shoot this. I've had it for a year and I've never even shot it.
Oh, jeez.
And they're carrying it on them?
I'm telling you, 9 times out of 10, that's what we see.
I have people that come into my shop. I'm not going to say all the time, but way more than it should happen, that are carrying a gun. They're like, "Yeah, I need to get out and shoot this," just like you said. And I'm like, "Why are you carrying that?" "Well, it's a Glock. I don't care who made it. They're not invincible. Everybody is prone to making something that's not going to work.
Yeah, the first
The
three
other-
rounds probably won't fit.
Yeah, exactly.
I was going to say, too, the other thing, if you... Because there's tons of new shooters now, or gun owners,
Right.
I should say. The first time I shot a handgun that wasn't a 22, it was very surprising, the recoil. Like, the blast, and it was only a 9mm, it's a high point, right?
So there wasn't much recoil because it's so heavy.
I'm telling you, that it's quite shocking if you've never shot a larger than 22 caliber handgun.
Well, and then once you start shooting defensive ammunition that's got a little more
pep to
power,
it. Yeah,
that's different too.
So and all guns, they shoot a little different.
Yeah.
And so you got to be familiar with the one that you are carrying.
How do you know you're going to be able to hit what you're pointing at with that thing?
Yes.
I remember I think I've told this story before when Springfield released their 4.0 or their 4-inch XDM. XDS. Yeah. I was super excited. The idea of a short grip and a long barrel makes perfect sense for me for a carry gun. I was super excited that was going to be my new carry gun. I could not shoot that thing for nothing. And every shot was off. And so then I'd pick up my Glock, everything's spot on. Pick that up, everything's off. And I sold it and to a friend, and a couple weeks later, hey, you know that gun you sold me? And I, oh,
Yeah.
crap. He's like, that thing's a tack driver. Okay, good. You know, so.
Well, yeah, and for me, like I shoot a lot of different guns
Right.
often.
Yeah.
And so I'm pretty decent with a variety
You
of
can
guns.
adapt pretty well.
But that Walther, I could not shoot.
The PPQ?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah. I took the
It's
boys
a
out
PPQ
shooting.
M2, right?
M2 or M4 or something. It was
Yeah, it
the
was
one that
M2,
was all.
yeah.
Yeah.
I could not shoot. I don't know if it's the ammo or what, but
It was
that-
your ammo.
my ammo. But yeah, I mean, maybe that gun didn't like the ammo I had, but the boys were hitting targets and I wasn't.
Wow.
Wow.
And so,
That's saying something.
yeah,
Yeah.
I had to sell that one, and the person who got it was really happy.
Yeah.
But that was the one gun that I just couldn't shoot well.
Well, if we could jump back to that thing, one of the things that wasn't clear from the story is if the guy had a weapon light.
I don't know. Didn't say one
Right.
way or another.
But having some kind of a light to
It was-
identify.
It was 5 a.m. and this was yesterday.
So at 5 a.m. it was dark.
It was dark
yeah.
in California.
Yep.
Yeah. So.
So
yeah.
you went to the trouble to get a custom holster from a high-end custom holster manufacturer.
that happens to be sitting in the room.
Yeah. And so how many of your fellow officers have lights on their gun? Do you have lights on duty guns?
It's mandatory on our
Yeah.
duty. In fact, they're issued with the tack light on our firearm. And on top of it, I have 3 other flashlights on me besides my tack light, because it's just a training scar to search buildings with your tack light.
Yeah.
You know, so, But no, on our duty weapons, they are issued by the department, the tack light, and they are mandatory. And on mine, on some of these small carry guns, it didn't come with a tack rail. I actually found one and added it on as well to be able to put the light on.
Right.
But in law enforcement, I found too is people that typically haven't shot a gun, they don't, just because they're afraid, they don't know how. But typically, if they don't know how to shoot it, they don't know how to store it and don't know how to clean it. We take a lot of accidental discharge calls all the time.
Yeah.
But no, it's good this guy was controlled, because he definitely, and you throw this word around a lot, he was definitely justified.
Yeah.
You know, and what's justified and what's right are 2 different things.
Yep.
So that's what's hard to armchair quarterback, you know, officer situations and stuff.
For
but
sure.
this intruder is very lucky.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very, very lucky.
Very lucky.
Yeah.
Let's jump into another one. This one has lots of lessons to be learned from.
Okay.
Fairbanks, Alaska. A Fairbanks resident stopped an attempted robbery at a Holiday gas station on Friday. Oh, this happened yesterday also.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it might be Fairbanks, or maybe it's Anchorage, which is like one of the most violent places in the country.
Really?
Yeah.
Alaska?
Yeah, it was weird. I was looking up
That
the
doesn't
stats.
sound right to me.
And some of
but-
it's like, it's crime per person.
per capita.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's per
capita.
capita.
There's
That
only
should
3
be-
people who live there, and they all hate
and
each
2
other.
of them are trying to
Yeah,
kill each
But
other.
it's really high
Huh.
per capita.
We need to ask Wasilla Steve to give
Oh
us.
yeah,
Yeah, we need to ask him his
It's right
comments.
outside of Anchorage.
Anchorage, yeah.
Yeah.
Plus, I bet you
And
all
the
that
tactical
weird
hobby.
weather, it's got to take a toll
Winter's
on
got to
people's...
be. My little brother
like,
lives.
mine.
It's like
Stuff.
COVID
Lives in
lockdown
Anchorage.
every year.
Yeah.
Like, and then you have like very little hours of light, when it does the
But
weird...
anyway, let's get
Yes,
back to the
yeah,
story.
sorry.
Anyway, a resident stopped a robbery at a Holiday gas station on Friday by holding the suspect at gunpoint. Maybe this didn't happen yesterday, because yesterday wasn't Friday. Maybe that's just when they posted this story.
Yes.
The incident started when a 17-year-old allegedly walked in with a knife and told employees he was robbing the store.
Ooh,
That's
such
a
bad
mistake
idea.
to begin with. Anyway, Nick Moore, who was buying his...
I thought you were going to say Nick Moist.
No. It's his brother, Nick Moore. He was buying his morning breakfast and a Red Bull, said that he was waiting in...
Breakfast of Champions.
He was standing in line when the suspect walked in with a knife. I kind of backed up a little bit to see what he was going to do, but I kind of already had an inkling in my head of what he was going to do. His suspicions came true as the man told employees that he was robbing the store. I put my stuff on the counter, snuck out the door, ran to my car, grabbed my pistol, and came back in the door. As I came up to the door, he just turned to look at me. I racked my slide on my pistol and pointed it at him, and he put his hands up. Moore said. Yeah. He then told the suspect to put down his knife and lay face down on the floor while waiting for law enforcement to arrive. Charging documents say that after troopers arrived, they quickly placed the suspect under arrest. He was charged with attempted robbery in the first degree and third degree assault. Moore said that after the arrest, the employees bought him his breakfast of champions. Moore went on to say, just stop talking. But anyway, he wasn't planning on using his gun, but that he is glad he had it. He also said that he feels having a gun deters crime. There's a shield against thieves. A deterrent against most crime if people know that your establishment could be armed or people in that establishment could be armed. As for the suspect, Moore said he hopes he gets his life turned around and that this was a wake-up call for him. Alaska State Troopers want to remind everyone that they always encourage people to call 911 and be a good witness and not get involved if possible.
So there's about a dozen.
What can we learn from this story?
First off, he would be better off with the gun on his body than in the car.
Yes.
So
Right.
Based on everything that he did, I'm guessing he probably had Full Metal Jackets loaded in his magazine. There wasn't a round in the tube.
Chamber, right.
And he waited to chamber around after he walked in.
I know. That's
like,
Well, and I'll further. I'll bet a soda that his truck was unlocked.
oh yeah,
I'm just saying.
Wow.
yeah,
Good point.
yeah. I think we can tick all those boxes.
Yeah.
So
like, why would you not rack the gun while you're outside getting it?
why? Yeah, it drives me crazy. So many people come into my shop. And, I'm going to clear my gun. I'm like, okay. And they'll drop the magazine and then rack the slide and nothing comes out because there wasn't one in there. And I'm like, really?
How are you going to use that?
Yeah. I have customers who are firearms trainers, and I'm doing air quotes, that don't carry with one in the chamber. And I think I don't get it.
Yeah.
I don't understand it.
There might be a reasonable way to debate that, but I can't think of what it is. I think it's just bad.
Yeah.
You know, before I went into law enforcement and went through the training, I will admit I was one walking around without one in.
Yeah.
And I had this horrible misconception of how much time. Like, at this story, like, it crushes that because he was able to neatly set his stuff down, go get it. come back.
Walk out. Yeah, he had all the time in the
Well,
world.
and I'm pretty sure the guy robbing the store wasn't too bright.
You think?
Yeah.
I wonder if he held the door for him, maybe.
Yeah.
But I didn't. And then you go through training and you realize how fast things happen.
Yeah.
And it's just too quick.
I don't bring it up when people, I've realized this with people that come into my shop just because I don't need to start that debate,
Right.
you know?
Every day.
Right. But the times that I have talked about it with people, it's like, well, I've timed myself and it only takes, a second or whatever longer. And I'm like, there are people that can put 2 in your chest in less than a second.
Well, and at the range with your wife standing next to you, the stopwatch is one thing.
Yeah.
You'll go out, just go out with some buddies and try to do a qualification.
Yeah.
Draw, fire, reload, fire in 4 seconds.
Yeah.
And those fine motor skills, they drop off.
Yep.
Click is terrible. It's the last thing we want to hear, even in a qualification.
Yeah.
But yeah. And then the knife. The other thing is a lot of people do not give knives the respect that they deserve.
Yep.
That's another thing that I learned. I knew they were dangerous. I cut my finger a couple of times,
Sure.
But through training, and videos and just facts.
Somebody can close the gap on you faster than
Really
you
fast.
think.
And a knife, even a halfway decent knife, say even a pretty poor knife can do a lot of damage.
Yeah.
Really fast.
Yep.
So,
for sure.
Yeah,
and I think this guy is really lucky that the bad guy in this situation, 17-year-old kid, gave up right away.
So
as opposed to wanting to...
Well, that's my second question. In the first story, there'd be no question in my mind if that intruder had tried to close that gap, that the story would have ended differently. But I have my doubts on this one.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, if you're not I don't say willing, but if you don't have the mental aptitude to be able to do what needs to be done, then don't introduce a weapon. I wonder.
I think the guy has watched too many movies, where they point the gun at someone and then they pump the shotgun or they cock the hammer.
Or
business.
Or rack the slide.
Yeah, and
they do it 2 or 3 times.
They do it,
in the scene.
as emphasis. And I think he might have been trying to do that as emphasis, like,
maybe.
Hey.
And to his credit, it worked in this situation.
Yeah.
Well,
I just wouldn't count on it ever working again.
Yeah.
One thing that I noticed in the last 2 stories is that both of them held them at gunpoint.
Yes.
That seems to me to be one of the most precarious and dangerous situations you could be in.
Yeah.
Is to hold somebody at gunpoint. What if that person just decides, I don't believe this guy's going to pull the trigger?
Yeah.
What if they decide to turn and engage?
Yep.
And what if that person just flat doesn't cooperate? Are you going to shoot? And are you going to be legally justified in shooting if the guy gets up off the ground and starts to walk away?
Yeah.
And that's what you have to know.
Right.
You have to know. Like, if a guy turns up and runs away, you can't just shoot him in the back.
No. So that brings another... I'll bring in another situation, another story. And this happened to a guy that was actually a neighbor of mine, became a customer of mine after this incident. But this was after he moved into a town or 2 over. Somebody came into his house in the middle of the night. It was a snowy night, and their side door was left unlocked. Guy walked in, went through, they're all upstairs asleep. The guy got in the refrigerator, made himself a sandwich. Serious.
Wow.
And then didn't finish it and wrapped it up to
I
save
read
it for
about
later.
that story.
Yeah, you may have.
I thought that was in Santa.
It was in Springville.
Oh, I thought it was in Payson or Santa Quinn.
Pretty sure they were.
That's
in
one of
Springville.
those southern
But yeah.
towns that are crazy
So
like
anyway,
that.
this guy comes up into their bedroom and wakes them up. Hey, wake up! You're taking me to the ATM, and doesn't have his gun
I remember
near
this
him.
story.
I can't remember. I think.
He went to the closet
Well,
because that's.
this guy, he's like, well, I need to if I'm driving, I got to put my contacts in. So he's like, okay. And this guy's got a gun that he's holding on him. Or no, he has his hand in a pocket. Says, I have a gun. So do what I say. Okay. I got to get my contacts in. His wife's up at this point, and they're just kind of antsy, moving around him, trying to stall. And in his mind, he's like, okay, my gun is on the top shelf in the closet with a loaded magazine next to it, but not in the gun. It's also, I want to say it was like
It's a high point.
It wasn't a high point.
Are you sure?
Yeah, it was a high. It was something star.
Like a star.
Maybe it was a star, just a star. It wasn't a quality gun. He'd had issues with it jamming, and he's running Full Metal Jackets. Anyway, long story short, I mean, they here, your socks are wet. Here, put these socks on. So, your feet will be dry. And okay, and he finally gets to the closet, now that he's got his contacts in and knows that he can see, loads the gun, racks the slide, turns around, puts the gun on the guy, and there is basically a gap of a king-size bed between the 2 of them. And his wife is kind of behind the guy. And so she starts inching away, so she's not behind him anymore, and the guy keeps lurching, like he's gonna lunge at him, and he's like, don't do it. The guy finally lunges, he shoots him in the chest, and the guy drops, and the gun jams.
Wow.
Yeah.
Full Metal Jacket goes through the guy, through the bedroom wall, and lodges in the floor in the hallway outside the kid's bedroom.
Wow.
Yeah, guy drops. He almost hit him in the heart, nicked an artery, and he bled out right there. But then they were like, we gotta call the police. Where are our phones? Oh, they're in the dead guy's pockets.
Wonderful.
So they have to fish through his pockets to call the police and everything. But talking with him, I tried to get him to come on the show, and they've got both him and his wife both have major
issues,
PTSD stuff, and I totally get it.
Yeah.
But I asked him, I said, so what'd you learn from that experience and everything? And he's like, well, you're making me a holster for my new SIG. Like, okay, good.
Good.
And And he says, and I will always have hollow points in my gun from now on, and it will be loaded and it'll be closer at hand, and we're going to make sure all the doors are locked before we go to bed. So
That sounds like a solution to that situation.
yeah, he got really lucky, and it turned out the guy didn't even have a gun.
Yeah.
Not that that mattered. You know, there were no charges or anything.
Then you shouldn't have lunged at him.
Exactly.
Well, if he thought he could
Yeah.
grab the gun,
Right. Well,
Yeah,
and there were
I think
all
his
sorts of
mental.
chemicals in his system and
Yeah.
and everything. But he learned some good lessons in a very, very hard way. Hopefully, none of us have
So-
to learn lessons like that.
As a officer of the law, what is the situation? What do you try to do? Do you ever hold somebody at gunpoint for a long period of time? How does that work?
Well,
What is the evolution of that situation?
we have high-risk stops, so where it's a high-risk stop, I should say, where we know that we're going to pull them out at gunpoint. You know, when we have a plan, you know. So that's the other thing. If you're going to pull a gun on somebody, what do you do next?
Yeah,
I mean,
because you
Because
can't
it's already escalated up to that
somebody's only
point.
going to stand there like this for so long.
Yeah.
And I'm not, and I apologize, I'm not as far in the loop as you guys are. If there is someone that trains or teaches you stuff like that, like, hey, you know, give them commands to turn around and how to get them on the ground, things like
Well,
that. But
You came over to my house and arrested me and my wife several times, and our daughter. So it's clear that you have a plan.
which I got the short end of the stick because I think I searched you every single time.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
my partner from school got to search your what?
Yep, exactly. Exactly right.
But no, you practice like you play and you have a plan. And where do you go from there? You know, what if it's not like TV when you hear the
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
oh, I give up. I'm just going to sit here for 20 minutes until I'm arrested, you know, like,
Well, I know in the training that Mark and I have done with Mass, Asada Ayub, one of the things that he taught us was if you are in a situation where you're holding somebody at gunpoint, to not have the gun at the high ready, but you hold it down lower, because if you're holding it up in your regular
You're
shooting
gonna get
position,
tired.
well, not just that, but it blocks your view of their hands and
Yeah.
what their hands
Yeah.
are doing. Also, if I'm pointing it, you know, in a normal shooting position, and I lower it to where I can see your arms and everything, now I'm pointing right at your pelvis,
Yeah.
which is kind of a mental thing also, where all of a sudden they're like, whoa, 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 what are you? It's like, which if something happened and you had to get a quick shot off, a pelvis shot is really pretty disabling.
Yeah, no kidding.
You know, you hit somebody in the pelvis, they're going to take one step towards you and be face down in the ground. So that's some of the training that Mark and I have had that really sunk in with me,
But-
because it was like, that makes perfect sense.
Is the goal to get your gun off the person sooner rather than later? Or do you just stand there for 10 minutes if you need to?
well, yeah, the goal is to get another officer there with me as soon as possible. Because if I go hands-on, I've got to holster.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
if once I have you on gun, you're staying there until...
Till backup comes.
Yeah, until everything's in my favor. You're going to stay there until I'm comfortable to put my gun away. You're going to stay there until I have 2-3 other people. We always have this thing in law enforcement: we do not play fair, and we
Oh,
won't,
no.
you know. But,
Your life's on the line.
Yeah.
That's when you don't play fair.
but typically it's fairly quick. I haven't. Most of the time I've been on gun with somebody has been a high risk or a felony style stop, and those are usually planned out. Hey, we're going to go. It's a sting or something like that.
Yeah, you know where somebody is and you're moving in on them.
Yeah,
Well,
you get to work with a specialty team, but
You could, if you tried to get the person out, from gunpoint to handcuffs. It might you holster your gun, and at that point, it could be somebody like Carl, who is built like
bulldog.
incredibly strong bulldog with a lot of wrestling experience. You probably don't want to go hands-on with somebody like that.
well, and I would take them right down to the ground and prone them out. I'm not just going to walk up. It's not like you see on TV. Hey, put your hands behind your head.
Okay.
If once I have you on gun, if I'm absolutely by myself and I cannot get back up there quick enough, and I feel like it's exigent, I need to get you cuffed so that I can go towards the victim that you've already injured. They need medical. Then I'm going to prone you out on the ground, and I'm going to have you I'm going to take away as much tactical advantage from you as absolutely possible
Yeah.
before I approach.
Okay.
And the last thing we do before I walk up, we give contracts. Do not move unless I tell you to. If you do, you will be shot. You understand? Yeah, and we wait for a verbal or physical yes or no, because that's what will happen.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the way we'll turn around, take them down their knees, and then sprawl them out and bring them up. But
So in a self-defense situation, outside of someone being law enforcement, if you're one of these guys and you are holding somebody at gunpoint, once you draw your gun, I guess the point I'm getting at is I feel like you draw your gun, it's not going away until the police show up.
And when they do show up, that might be awkward all by itself.
It could be, yeah. Especially if you're not the one that called dispatch and said, "Hey, this is what's going on."
Yeah,
This is
I'm
where-"
holding this person at gunpoint.
Yeah, if it's somebody else that's saying, "Hey, there's somebody holding a gun on somebody," then they're going to be looking at you.
And those are extremely difficult situations as we deal with those. The one that we're running into the most, ironically, hasn't been gun related. It's been mental handicap disability style, where maybe you have a large child or even a large adult child that is acting out and losing it in a grocery store setting, and just flat out the parent has to take control.
Yeah.
And we don't know what's going on. That's why it's important to we talk about having a plan.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that you should have a concealed firearm that you haven't practiced drawing from your holster, from your concealment place, and firing and done failure drills with.
Mm-hmm.
But on that, if you're out, is be able to communicate. They're the ones doing this. I've got them, And then if you do get to that point, and I show up as an officer, I don't know what's fully going on, because I get little tidbits from everybody that calls in through dispatch to me. So when I do show up and I say, "Drop the gun, put your hands up," just do what I told you.
Yeah.
Just don't try to talk your way out of it right then and there. Just absolutely do exactly what I say.
Yeah.
If everything's copacetic, I will take the cuffs back off you. Give your gun back.
Well, yeah.
Just comply.
You need to, that's another thing people need to understand is, as an officer responding, your first priority is to make the situation safe, to secure everybody and everything that could make things go bad, and then figure out what's going on after that. Am I right?
Yeah, and the difference is also as a homeowner is people need to realize that you call a firearm a deterrent, and it is to a point. You see a sticker on the door that says this house has firearms. Maybe they're going to walk past before they start checking your windows.
Yeah.
But on the other side of the fence, your firearm is not just a deterrent or scare tactic.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do point it at somebody, you better be ready to use it. It's we do have a little extra training, and there are stops that we do make, and we do have to make sure we don't roll up and judge things wrong. So there's a little bit difference there. But a homeowner, I personally feel it should be a little more rare for these stop or I'll shoot kind of conversations with the homeowner. I'm surprised it happens so often.
Yeah.
But just having plans.
Yeah, and it does happen quite often. Like, there's this Reddit group where we can pull articles of all the self-defense news.
More than one a day
And
on
it's-
average, right?
Yeah, it's several a day.
Yeah.
And it's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Do we have time for one more?
Yeah.
Okay,
Go ahead
so
and
this
depress
one-
everyone.
This is Debbie, Debbie Downer here.
This is the Debbie Downer article.
One thing I want to say before you do that, in situations like we're talking self-defense situations, I think not enough can be said about being assertive and being very, I don't want to say aggressive,
Clear.
but clear and controlling will do a lot to bring somebody down. If they sense any kind of
Weakness.
yeah, stay right there,
Can you please get on the ground?
yeah.
Yeah.
You have to be assertive and control the situation if you want it to go in your favor.
We did a fair amount of push-ups and burpees for not using our big boy voice.
Yeah.
That's what it's referred to as, but yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay, so this one is kind of a sad story. It's not really self-defense, but it was something that I read, and I watched the video, and then I just wanted to talk about it.
Yeah,
and
there's lessons to be learned.
Yeah, what lessons we can learn from it. But this one happened, it says the Phoenix City Council unanimously approved a $3 million payout on Wednesday to the family of Ryan Whitaker, a 40-year-old man who was fatally shot in the back by a police officer earlier this year.
Shot in the back?
I think he kind of like
turning.
Yeah, well, police shot him, I think, 3 times, and I think the first shot him, and then he kind of turned, and then...
Well,
that makes sense.
we talked about that with Mass.
Also.
Yeah, but it was fast. It was like boom, boom, boom.
Right.
So, anyways, I watched this video, and it's pretty heart-wrenching
I
because so the background of this story, you call him a victim?
Yeah, he's a victim.
Yeah, the guy, Ryan Whitaker, he was with his girlfriend at his house, and they were playing Crash Bandicoot on the PlayStation.
Which is cool.
And making salsa. And
How do you do those at the same time?
I don't know. But yeah, they were just having a night at home, just having fun. And I guess due to their excitement playing the video game, the neighbors heard screams and,
Probably yelling
ruckus
back
and
and
yelling
forth
and whatever. And so they called the police and
thinking
it was a domestic disturbance.
Right.
And so the police come out to check up on it. And, the only facts that they know are that it's a domestic disturbance. And so they knock on the door and, it's nighttime. And so the man answers the door with a firearm in his hand. And then police sees the firearm and shoots 3 times. And it all happens like so fast. And so, anyways, and then like I mentioned, the city council they ended up
there's also
the settlement.
a little backstory on why he probably answered the door.
I forgot to mention
gun.
that. So the girlfriend told the police officers afterwards that the reason he answered the door with a gun is because earlier that week, I think it was multiple days or multiple nights, people had been knocking on his door and running, or they knocked and he went to the door and no one was there, and
He
so
thought something
fishy was
Something
going
amped
on.
him up.
Yeah, and so he went to the door prepared with the firearm, and then it didn't. Yeah.
Yeah. Which, and we talked a little bit about this before, but, I think it's, like you said, Taco, this is a situation where neither person involved did anything wrong.
Yeah, nobody broke the law.
Nobody broke the law. And I wouldn't even say that anybody was necessarily foolish or made a bad decision either.
Yeah.
It was kind of the perfect storm, unfortunately. Right. What's your take?
First off, what are some of the things that maybe he could have done to prevent that from happening? The
homeowner?
The homeowner, yeah, because the listeners are homeowners or residents.
Yeah.
So what was something?
Well, one of my favorite things, flat out, and I'm not a salesman for any of these, but are video doorbells. I love them. They're one of my favorite things ever. I do have my favorite one, but just having one. Period. So if someone's doorbell ditching you and you have a video doorbell camera or some sort of surveillance out the front, it solves that problem right then and there.
Yeah.
And then also the good ones have night vision. You'll be able to see, mine pops up on my phone within milliseconds. Someone's at your door knocking or ringing the doorbell. They can even program it to where we know somebody. 'Cause it's funny when we have common guests come over, it'll say so-and-so is at your door.
Wow.
Yep.
It has facial recognition?
It does. It'll say
crazy.
someone that you know is at your door.
Huh.
Which it was funny because I told my wife it says that about the Amazon delivery guy. But
That could be bad though also, because how many crimes are committed against people that they know?
Well, and I need to
Somebody
see
you know is at the door. Oh, great. Oh,
I
don't
need
want
to get a court order to get scrubbed off your doorbell.
So what's your favorite brand?
I really enjoy the Nest. And the reason I like the Nest is it continues. It records continually. It doesn't just kick on when it senses motion, like the Ring. Mm-hmm. So a lot of the guys realize, like on the Ring doorbell, because they only kick on when they sense motion, that if they run up to your door to grab your package quick enough, if they can grab it and turn and get away, we only get a shot at the back of their head.
Oh.
And with the Nest, it's 24/7, and they store. I think what it is, they store like 3 days on a hard drive for you automatically just for buying the doorbell.
So it's just got an endless loop running.
So it's always recording?
Yep. Or you can pay, I think it was like $58 for the year is what I paid. And they will record 7 days before and after. I can go back. And it's been nice. There's been a few people who have had their mailboxes taken out, or, something's happened, or, hey, I missed my gas can on the side of the house. We can go back to the date and time and pull it up. But I really like those. It solves a lot of that, and it helps quite a bit, too. Because we have a lot of people hitting unfortunately with COVID, people are staying home more.
Yeah.
And they're leaving items in their cars, and they're not getting in their cars for 3 or 4 days.
Right.
So our vehicle burglaries have just gone through the roof. And it's a lot of the times as we show up just to, well, here's a
You're
number
just
for you to
taking a
give your
report.
insurance.
Yeah.
And I'll write up a report for your insurance so they can figure out what was in it. But those doorbells, I would say some sort of surveillance, and with how cheap and affordable it is nowadays and how high quality it is, there's really no reason not to have one. And I love mine. The only time mine's ever bitten me is when it's Valentine's Day or my wife's birthday and I got to sneak the present in the house.
Yeah.
But the Nest actually has a feature. I pull up my phone, I can go in private mode for just a minute and I can bring the gifts in and then turn it back on.
Or the guns.
Yeah. Or the cars or everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I like mine because it also lets me know when my kids are home and things like that. And there's those kinds of deterrents too.
The first thing that I thought was, okay, somebody's knocking on your door, we'll say in the middle of the night or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Even if I have a gun in my hand, I'm not going to open the door unless I know who it is. That's just me.
True.
I had that situation happen. Frantic banging on my door one night in the middle of the night, and it was kind of a stormy night, and I'm like, who in the heck is that? And I don't have a peephole, but I have a giant window in my front. And so I can pull the curtains back and I can see who's on my front porch. It was my neighbor. There was something that happened in my chicken coop or something.
Okay.
He was like, hey, your chickens might not
chickens
make it
are
through the
out.
night if, But that was kind of my first thing that I thought was, I'm not going to open the door to somebody, especially in the middle of the night, if I don't know who it is. That's the only criticism that I can come up with for this whole scenario. I don't feel like the cop was unjustified in what he did. It's, you can look at it in hindsight and be like, oh, well, maybe he could have done this or that or the other thing, but I don't think, going into a situation like that, what he was told he was rolling up on and then what he saw was a perfectly justified reaction.
So we get lots of calls, similar things. I had one that we thought it was a DV, a domestic violence in progress, which is some of our hot calls.
Yeah.
We're going to get there quick.
Those are the scary ones.
And it sounded like there was a dozen people murdering each other behind this door, so we get positioned tactically, knock on the door, and it was a 9 and a 12-year-old fighting over whose turn it was to play the Xbox. And his family, his mom, his grandma, and his dad were there trying to get them to stop fighting with each other. And they turned out to be, I will say, one of the most fun families I've ever talked to. If I could have checked off duty and stayed for dinner, if they had offered, I would have. They were a blast. But there's just a couple things there, is with that situation, we got to remember that our firearms, they're not scare tactic.
Right.
If in that situation, and armchair quarterback people is very brutal, and you can be very careful.
Yeah.
We were not there.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so much to be said for that, for the officer and for this poor homeowner and everything.
Yeah.
But we'd like to see in that situation, if whether how your house is set up, just stand there right with the door. You can go gun on door if you want. And if they kick that door open, you drill them. But, just don't open the door. Just call
talk to him through the door.
Or just call the police.
Yeah.
Just call us. If they're knocking on the door, then that might be their point of entry.
Yeah.
And it's the other thing too, they could be knocking on the front door if someone's coming through the back sliding door.
Right.
And so to go out front, to take yourself out, I would just stay in your home, and there's nothing wrong with that. You sit there and point your gun right at the door, and if somebody kicks it open and they don't yell police first, game on,
Yeah. Well,
what if they do yell police first?
Then put your gun away, or else.
Well, what if
there have been situations,
some-
we've had stories where people have
that's
been
true.
impersonating and have had problems.
Yeah, remember the one they duct taped a laser pointer
To a BB gun. and said they were
like
FBI or something.
Some divisions. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was super specific. It was funny.
So we don't operate that. I don't have lasers on my guns.
Right.
And the other thing, when it comes to like warrants and things of that nature, we actually have time frames that we're allowed to serve them and not allowed to serve them.
Right.
And things of that nature. And I promise you this, there's no FBI guy coming to your house at 1 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
It's there and more of an, but,
Yeah.
or keep it on, and if you're on the phone with dispatch, stay on the phone with them because they will stay on with you.
Yeah.
And you say, hey, they're saying it's the police. Is it really the police? And they can verify. You say, hey, tell them to say the color purple if it's the police, and I'll yell purple, or whatever you need to do. We are just as human, and I'll tell you, that's the last thing I ever want to do is to be is to have to take a life. I will absolutely do it if it comes down to it to protect
Right.
the innocent. But it's not what I want to do. And we're
Right.
human as well. We can work through a situation with a homeowner. It's just that comes back to the whole practicing thing. Is I think when you practice and you're comfortable with your firearm, you're able to get yourself out of your OODA loop and you're able to come up with these solutions. Like I'm knocking on the door, it's police. Hey, it's police. Is it really them? If it is, tell them to yell out Brian. Or whatever you want. And we
Kevin.
will, or Kevin.
Kevin.
I like Otis.
Or Otis or Stu. But I'm just saying there's those situations, and these ones are just extremely sad.
Yeah.
All the way around. I will say that as an officer in a domestic violence, it is really scary for us when the suspect goes back into the home. That
Right.
is not going to be allowed.
Yeah.
It is so dangerous for the victim. We run into barricade and hostage situations all the time. Or
Yeah.
unfortunately, we had the opposite to where they were talking to a guy in a domestic violence situation up in Ogden, and the suspect ran back into the house, and the officers went to pursue. He shut the door, and he had weapons set up, fired through the door, and killed one of our officers just recently. So, it's just scary. And that one is like the perfect storm of the million little teeny tiny things that added up at the perfectly wrong moment
Right.
for both. you
Yeah.
know, And
Well, I like your advice on if you don't recognize them as the police or you want to confirm to call. There have also been situations where people impersonating police in unmarked cars
Yeah.
have stopped people and then abducted
Keep
them. or
driving within the law and sensibly to the police station.
whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or or I've heard people pulled over and crack their window while they're on the phone with the police saying, "Hey, do you have an unmarked car in this area that looks like this? And I'm stopped by this person." Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
so I've typically already called out the stop before we stop.
Yeah,
Because they're so dangerous for us that we want dispatch to know where we're at.
yeah,
And so, go ahead. I mean, you have the second to call. You have hands free.
right.
You just say call 911
Yeah.
and say, hey, I'm at this area in this town. Is there an officer that called out a traffic stop?
Yeah.
And dispatch is quick about it. But typically we'll call out, hey, I'm at so and so intersection on this car, this plate number, before we even roll to a full stop and even hop out of our car. So you actually have time for that.
Yeah.
And I've seen a lot of those videos with the fake cars, and you can buy the full light bars, but I will say most of the cars I've seen in those videos, it's like, we were not driving 1985 Toyota Tercels. I'm not driving a 91 Ford Mustang. We're pretty well marked up and everything.
I actually had a 91 Ford Mustang.
Wow.
But yeah, don't be afraid, and don't forget that as law enforcement, we're human beings.
Yeah.
I would rather stand outside your car for a half a second, as long as you're being reasonable.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm really scared. Or if you want to drive a little farther, here's a little tidbit for you. If you want to drive somewhere, call dispatch, call 911. Say, hey, I believe I'm being pulled over, legitimately by a police officer. It's just really dark and I'm nervous. There's a 7-Eleven, there's a Walmart 300 yards up the road. I would like to go there. And dispatch will keep you on the phone and radio us. Just work back and forth.
It's good to know.
There's little things you can do, but
Okay, cool.
Well, we are out of time.
We're way out of time.
Way out of time.
It's okay. It's the Easter bonus podcast.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, I really enjoyed this.
It was good
Yeah,
talk.
I
It was
learned a
fun.
lot tonight.
Yeah, so we'd like to thank Officer Kevin, Kyle,
Larry.
Dave for joining us tonight. And
Yeah, that was good insights. It was good
Really
to
was.
talk about that stuff.
it's really been a pleasure. I appreciate you all allowing me to come talk with you.
It was good having you. That makes up for all the episodes that we forgot to do in the news story.
yeah.
There we go.
All right.
We got 4.
Okay. Until next week, stay safe, have fun.
Be nice.
Take someone shooting if you can.